Welcome to the Bookies Plus weekly betting show where you will get free picks. NFL Week 6 from our gambling experts. Now, remember, you can also find free picks at bookies.com/picks. Again, bookies.com/picks. Not just NFL picks at bookies.com/picks. Got you covered for pretty much any sport you're interested in and want to make some money on. And remember, every Thursday, new show during the NFL season. You don't want to miss it. Put it on your calendar. This week we'll have picks from Adam, the ATM Thompson, one of the nation's premier handicappers, always coming in 60% plus on his NFL picks. Nick, the Whale Whalen, in the industry for over a decade. NBA, NFL, RotoWire, VSiN, DraftKings. I'm Jim Coventry. And gentlemen, let's get ready to go to some picks. Adam, big one with the Detroit Lions this week. Talk about that game.
Yeah, the Chiefs are at home, but the Lions getting points. This is an offense that scores 34 points pretty much every week. They've demolished some pretty good teams, and I think it's just a kind of a pick your poison. I think you need to keep up with them. You're not going to shut these guys down. I don't think, especially Kansas City, they're looking older and slower, not just offensively but defensively, especially. And I think it's a tough spot, really, for Kansas City. They're just 2-3 this year. Their 2 wins were against the Russell Wilson-led Giants and the Lamar Jackson-less Ravens. Neither one are going to stand out as resume builders. They've played other tough teams, but they've lost to them. And I think this Detroit team is a cream of the crop, especially offensively. But defensively, they can get to Mahomes. Mahomes doesn't have more than 1 touchdown pass since week 1 in a game. He has been running the ball, but Detroit allows just 20 yards rushing per game to quarterbacks. So I think it all equals out to Kansas City's going to have tough time moving the ball enough to keep up with these Detroit Lions, who are still going to score at minimum, I would think, in the upper 20s, probably in the 30s yet again.
But the Kansas City Optimists, after this week, Rashee Rice is back. We'll talk about that next week, maybe. But for right now, Adam Thompson's on this one. Lions plus 2.5, getting points. Unbelievable. Nick Whalen, you're going to give us that ritual over and under game. And let me tell you, it's going to be an under. What do you got?
It is, in fact, going to be an under, and we're looking at the under 46 in Patriots Saints down in the Bayou on Sunday. A lot of reasons that I like the under here. I would not be surprised if the Saints do find a way to cover the 3.5 at home. I think we came into this season with a certain image of what the New Orleans Saints would be. And look, for the most part, record-wise, they have lived up to that. They're 1-4 right now. They just got their first win of the season. They needed not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 consecutive turnovers by the New York Giants to end up winning that game. So I don't think the Saints are a good team, but they're actually a pretty solid defense. This is a defense that has shown up week in and week out. They're 14th in EPA per play. They're middle of the pack in terms of success rate defensively, middle of the pack in EPA per pass, 12th in EPA per rush. So I think you look at this New England team coming off a big win over Carolina, an even bigger win on the road at Buffalo, probably a little bit overvalued right now. It's still a mistake-prone offense. It's a team that a few weeks ago turned it over 5 times in a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. New England is absolutely the better team. I won't be surprised if they cover this, but I don't think we're going to see a ton of points here. And on the Saints side of things, this is not a good offense. Spencer Rattler has been better than expected. I think he's actually played fine at quarterback, but the Saints do not generate chunk plays. They do not. They have 5 plays of 20-plus yards all season, and all of those have been passes. They have trouble generating explosives on the ground, and they also do a good job of limiting big plays as a defense. They're top 10 in the NFL in that category. So I think this is a little bit more of a slog maybe than we might expect on the New England side of things. Again, won't be surprised if the Patriots win, but this feels to me like a 23-20 perhaps type of game where we just go under.
Yeah, it's that trap game definitely for New England. You mentioned Spencer Rattler. I think he's kind of guaranteed the minimum of a career backup somewhere or a low-end starter. He's surprisingly played reasonably well. The sad note is Alvin Kamara starting to lose work to Kendre Miller. That's sad. Alvin Kamara
might not play in this game. That's another thing to mention, which I think maybe that helps you if you like the New England side, but I don't think it helps the Saints offense overall.
No, not so much. All right, I am going to talk some London football, early 9:30 a.m. Sunday start. Broncos. I found them at ESPN bet at -6.5. Common line is -7. I'm still fine with that. I'd even give 7 and a hook, to be honest with you. Look, The Jets are one of the worst teams in the league. That defense, they're not getting any pressure at all. They are marginal against the run. We have seen Denver, when they get an easy opponent, especially Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago, they can vary their offense. They can win in a lot of ways. Sauce Gardner probably isn't much of a factor because he isn't playing at his usual level. But even if they don't want to go to Sutton, they got advantages with Mims and Franklin. And then the downhill running game with J.K. Dobbins. And we saw when they want to lean on that, that works. But just remember, the Jets got throttled by Buffalo by 20. They played Miami and lost by 6 to Miami, and they lost by 15 to Dallas. This team is as bad as advertised. And Denver, they're starting to feel the fact that they can get a very good chance at maybe winning their division. So they're going to close this one out. They're going to take it early, move with it. Hey, let's get to round 2, gentlemen. And next, we have Adam going with the Seattle Seahawks against Nick's Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, and Seattle is not a team that I was really honed in on in the preseason. I did not think they were going to be that great. I did not think they were a playoff team, but they scored 31 points in 3 of their last 4 games, including 2 wins on the road. Sam Darnold is leading the league in yards per attempt. They are using the run to set up the pass to perfection, which is exactly what they want to do. Jacksonville has had issues giving up big plays. They have, I think, 19 plays this season allowed of 20 yards or more. So I think, Jacksonville, they're 4-1. They're at home. They just beat the Chiefs. We could argue, and Nick and I brought this up on Sirius XM earlier today, that without that 99-yard pick six, it's a 14-point game instead of a tie game, and that statement win doesn't actually happen. So I think Jacksonville is good. I think Seattle it likes being on the road. They have a game plan, and it works against what Jacksonville is going to be bringing. So you're getting points with Seattle on the road plus 1.5. I'll take that. I'll take that point.
And you got Seattle coming off a real tough loss. You got Jacksonville on a short week. I was saying this. Jacksonville looked like they won the Super Bowl when they beat Kansas City. And when you have that kind of emotional into that game, I'm really worried about you next week. So love that call on the Seahawks plus 1.5. Nick, we're both going to look at the Rams. Why don't you start and I'll pile on?
Yeah, Jim, I just wonder if we're walking into a trap here. I don't think we are. I don't think we are. And, I think it's maybe the easiest play of the week to just look at the Ravens and say, man, this defense is so banged up. It was bad before the injuries. And look, if you just gave up 44 to a struggling Houston Texans offense, man, what are the LA Rams going to do? I think the NFL has taught us that it's never that easy over the years, right? Like I don't think the Rams come in and win this game like 50-3, even though that's what it feels like. If you kind of compare how you value the Rams versus the Texans, Baltimore has to put out a better effort than we saw last week. I hate to be a sheep here, but I'm still taking the Rams. I'm taking the Rams. I know they're on the road. The Ravens defense, yeah, you probably get Kyle Hamilton back this week. That helps. But again, this defense was terrible even before all these injuries set in. I mean, 30th in EPA per play, 31st in success rate, 29th against the pass, 31st against the rush. They've given up 30 passing plays already this season of at least 15 yards. That's the 3rd most in the NFL. And the reason that I am willing to trust the Rams here, Jim, is because of what happened on Thursday night. Not only are they coming into this game with extended rest, but I don't think Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford are suffering a 2nd straight letdown game in this spot. Had they cruised to an easy win over the banged up Niners on Thursday, I think this looks like an obvious trap game. I think they're well aware. I think they're going to be eager to avenge what happened on Thursday night. And Baltimore, for as much as they could try to, rally after that brutal loss last week, they're powerless right now. You got Cooper Rush at quarterback. You don't have any of your pieces defensively. The Rams are a team that doesn't necessarily blow out opponents despite the talent advantage, but 7.5, it's a low enough number. I think the Rams win this by 2 scores.
You hit the nail on the head with the extra rest and a tough loss. Those two are both major factors. That precludes the letdown game. That's why we're saying this is as easy as it looks. But here's the thing. Baltimore can't stop the run. Last year, Michael Pierce retired. Justin Madubuike down for the season. Roquan Smith, whether he plays or not, he can't run anymore. So this downhill Rams rushing attack is going to rake them. Nobody can cover Puka because he's schemed open on every single play. They don't have a corner to deal with Devontae Adams, and Matthew Stafford is playing as well as he's ever played, and that's saying something. So, yeah, all that said. And then, of course, you got Jared Verse and the pass rush coming. And here's the thing. We knew Baltimore doesn't have any legitimate big high-end wide receivers. It was Lamar able to carry them. Zay Flowers is a nice player, but he's your number one with Cooper Rush. Yeah, that's not working. So for all the reasons Nick said and other mitigating factors, I could see the Rams winning this one, kind of like what Houston did to them last week, that 44-10 pasting. This may be the Ravens we're dealing with right now. Take the name off the moniker. This is not the Baltimore Ravens you've been watching for the last few years. All right, round 3. Adam and Nick, you're both going to take the Commanders. Adam start off. Nick will pile on.
Yeah, Commanders, they got Jaden Daniels back, and, he's obviously a good player. Marcus Mariota is not bad, though, either, but the confidence factor was clearly shown. They just wasted Justin Herbert and that Chargers team, especially on offense and defense, really. But we've also seen them lay some eggs. But I like the matchups here against Chicago. Namely, Washington leads the NFL in yards per carry on the season, and Chicago ranks dead last in yards allowed per carry. That's going to allow Jaden Daniels and that offense to do a lot of what they want here. And on the flip side, Chicago, they beat the Raiders by 1, but it took 4 Vegas turnovers that resulted in 3 field goals. All 3 drives had a combined 11 yards of offense by Chicago in that game. And they still need a blocked field goal at the end to win it by 1. Caleb Williams has been historically he's only two seasons in, but historically far worse on the road than at home. Last year, he's by far the least accurate quarterback in the NFL on the road. This year, all of his turnovers have been in road games as well, so that hasn't changed yet.
It was a good save. Real quick, it was a good save on the historical line, because not exactly Roman Empire long, but go ahead.
Not quite that long yet. But we're trending in all the wrong directions for Caleb in road games. So Washington minus 4.5, that seems like a very fair number to get them back at home. Well,
and go ahead and pile on with this one.
Yeah, Adam hit on all the key points here. I know Chicago is coming off of a bye, but I don't think this is a very good football team right now. Maybe later in the season, the more experience they get with Ben Johnson, but we'll see, that offense continue to pick up. But that win against the Raiders heading into the bye did absolutely nothing for me. Chicago probably should not have won that game. You end up blocking a field goal at the end of regulation after the Raiders turned it over, 4 times in that one. It was just sloppy all over the place. The win over Dallas at home, that one means something. I know they lost CeeDee Lamb early in that game, but that's kind of the one that's keeping me wondering on this Bears team. But nonetheless, I think the Commanders, to me, you have some concerns about the defense. They have given up a ton of big plays through the air this season. So, that's where you worry about Chicago generating those explosives, hanging around in this game. But that Commanders defense, I was really impressed, especially over the second half last week against the LA Chargers. Chargers jump out to a 10-0 lead, don't score the rest of the game. And that was easily, I thought, the best that defense has looked all year. You got a Commanders running game that is just humming on all cylinders as usual. Got Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt more involved last week. And that's really where I think this game will be decided. It's a really good Commanders rushing attack against a really bad Bears run defense, worst in the NFL in terms of yards per carry given up. And here's the thing with Chicago. They haven't even faced a true running quarterback yet, unless we're counting JJ McCarthy in week 1, who did have a couple big runs, by the way, in the second half, including a touchdown. Other than that, they have faced essentially stationary quarterbacks. So a bad running defense now having to adjust to one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't love it. Jaden Daniels, by the way, 8-4 ATS as a favorite thus far as the starter, 3-1 against the spread in games against a team that comes in with a rest advantage.
I'm going to end this one with a lemon. I'm going with the Browns, plus 6.5.
Love it.
Too many Browns picks over the years, but this one I feel good about. Look, Pittsburgh's offense, you can't run on Cleveland. Nobody runs on Cleveland. The Pittsburgh offensive line's not good. Jaylen Warren is a nice pass catcher and a nice little scat back, but he is not the guy who's going to crack the Cleveland run defense. And Kenny Gainwell, if he plays in, obviously he had that week, but don't expect more there. And then it comes to the passing game. Aaron Rodgers, you've seen this for 2 years. He doesn't want to get hit, so he gets the ball out super fast. Now, Metcalf may make a play or two. I'm not even discounting that for a minute. That's in play. But Aaron Rodgers is in deep trouble in this game. And the other side of the ball, don't forget, because Pittsburgh, they were on a bye last week. Don't forget how bad Pittsburgh's defense was. The Jets hung 32 on them. The Seahawks are a good offense. They hung 31 on them. New England would have scored a ton of points, but they fumbled at the goal line twice in that game. So all that said, this Pittsburgh defense can't stop the run. And Quinshon Judkins has been amazing. Even without really good offensive line play, he gets it done inside, outside as a receiver, and he is going to be able to cash in here. This game's going to be close. This will be your typical AFC North slugfest. And if you're going to get me close to a touchdown for either team in this game, this time it being the Browns, I am all over that. All right, closing thoughts. Adam Thompson, what you got?
I love that Browns pick, by the way. I don't think either team is going to get to 20. So
Right?
take the points if you can get it. When I do parlays, I don't do a lot of parlays, but when I do, it's a lot of money line favorite parlays on teams that I'm already backing, kind of laying the points and just looking at how things have gone on the money line. That seems to be working for people. Home favorites have won 70% of their games this season. Road favorites have won 63% of their games. Overall, 67.5% money line favorites have won. So as long as you're picking the right ones, pair them together, trial them together, and cash out.
Nick Whalen, what do you got for your closing thought?
Well, first of all, I'll mention that the public just continues to get crushed this season, guys. As we know, tickets were sides, I should say, was 60% or more of tickets now 13-30 against the spread. I can tell you, playing in the Circa Millions contest, the last thing you want to see when they publish, who's on which team every week is, oh no, we're on a team that has 2,000 other people on it, because that has just been a harbinger for disaster. So, it's one of those trends that is liable to reverse, of course, at any time. But, look into some betting splits, find out where the money's going if you're looking to go a little bit deeper on your picks every week. And I will triple down, guys, on that Browns pick. I like that one quite a bit, Jim. I obviously have a quarterback advantage. You probably have an infrastructure advantage with the Steelers. They tend to take care of business in this specific matchup at home. I think they've won 21 in a row or something like that straight up over Cleveland. But Quinshon Judkins is the real deal, man. I don't think there are many other players in the league, many other rookie running backs that have come in the last 5 years who could have the kind of success that he's had so far, given what he's dealing with in Cleveland.
My closing thought's going to tick some people off. Look, everybody's sick of seeing Kansas City and doing a lot of great things, and they have not been good. And last year they went to the Super Bowl, and I was stunned because they were not a great team. But here's the thing. That offense is starting to come around. All of a sudden, we're seeing them move the ball. The offensive line, that rookie left tackle, stepping up. The line protection doesn't look terrible. For the last 2 weeks, he's not playing a ton, but Isaiah Pacheco finally looks explosive. He's had explosive runs 2 weeks in a row. He looks he's becoming a bit of a factor. It'll get him in more. And then the big thing, that offense is starting to click, and Rashee Rice is coming back, and Xavier Worthy is really the real deal. And then that even allows Kelsey now to stumble around underneath. So I think that at plus 900 odds, and I know you don't want to bet the Chiefs, this is the year where the defense may not end up having to do a lot when they get that whole offense, because this might be back to Patrick Mahomes cooking with gas as soon as Rice is back. I hate it, not popular, but you know what? This team has figured out so many times, and they always get better as the season goes on. So that's my closing thought.
Starting next week is when Kansas City really gets rolling.
Yes, because this week, this week, you got the point for them and the Lions winning this one. Right. But Rashee Rice is everything to them, because he's, we talk about receivers like Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jackson Smith-Njigba. They are these hybrid players who are winning outside and in the slot. They're winning intermediate, and they can even sneak downfield. But really, it's short and intermediate where they do most of their damage. And Rashee Rice is that same hybrid of player. And they were already weaponizing him before he got hurt last year. He was averaging 90-something yards a game in that short span before he broke. It was a knee injury, the LCL injury. But he's that guy. So it's going to be fun to watch him. But like Adam said, not this week, because it's the Lions plus 2.5. All right, everybody. This has been the Bookies Plus Weekly Gambling Show. Make sure you bookmark bookies.com/picks so you can check out our free picks on all sports all year long. We will be back next Thursday. Good luck and be profitable in week 6.